Welcome back to Off the Shelf, where Nate and Nate, and I chat all things CPG. We're super excited this week to be talking about a big shift in health and wellness right now, which is funny because maybe it's not that big of a shift. It's been going on, it's been shifting for years, we've learned. But the rise of GLP-1 medications and how they're changing consumer behavior. You know, we see these things as a trend from our side, but we've got Peter McPartland here today from SoWell to talk more about how maybe this has been happening for some time and what they've been doing to really support customers who are using GLP-1s or interested in using them. So really excited to dig into that today and understand how other brands who are really looking to create a brand around a consumer need, might take something away from Peter.
Hmm. All right, thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, would love to just start off to hear a little bit about you and your background and what led you into this world of CPG and health.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a television producer originally, and was the showrunner of a hidden camera comedy show called Impractical Jokers for the 10 years leading up
Heard of it?
to me being with SoWell. Yeah.
Wow.
And then, during COVID, my wife, who's an obesity medicine physician, she was we were both working from home. She was practicing from home, and she released a small line of metabolic health supplements and an at-home lab testing kit for people to test their fasting insulin from home. Which during COVID, there's a real need for those types of solutions. And then a couple of years ago, we kind of had the idea for GLP-1 support. My wife has been writing GLP-1 medications for over 10 years in her practice, but then GLP-1s were approved for more and more indications, and we just kind of saw the developing industry and the popularity of these medications. We saw how it was going to continue to grow. So we decided to take the learnings of her practice and what she was recommending to all of her patients, which was a kind of a medicine cabinet full of supplementation to help people avoid the side effects of GLP-1 medications. About roughly 1 in 3 people end up stopping the medications early because of the side effects. But in her practice, no one had to stop early because of the side effects, because she knew how to help people avoid the side effects and succeed on the medications. So we decided, why don't we take the learnings of her practice and what she was recommending to her patients, and let's put it into our suite of products. So we launched a year ago, August, with our electrolyte, protein, and fiber to support GLP-1 users.
How did you go from this idea of working, and you speak a little bit to it, but your wife is working in really a clinical insight, working with patients, and there's this idea of, hey, there's a larger opportunity here to really reach more people.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got to go start a brand and build this out. And I see the book behind you, the Ozempic Revolution, which I know she wrote. How do you go from that recognition to really jumping in and starting to build a brand? I know that's not an easy question to ask, but just talking a little bit about what that looked like.
Yeah, and that's the brand building is probably the most fun part of it, right? It's the packaging, the design, and kind of how to build that out. So it's about and it takes a while. It takes a while to find the right kind of collaborators, the right partners, the right designers, people to work with to kind of build that out, and then kind of build out what do we want the ethos of the brand to be, what do we want kind of the core value of to be. And for us, we knew, for example, fiber, fiber is kind of, you've seen some brands come out recently, but we wanted to make sure that, in releasing a product like that, it's not your grandma's fiber. It's like,
Right.
we wanted people to feel good about taking these. And, and obviously for us, we have a SoWell, we have an electrolyte, a protein, and a fiber, which traditionally would be 3 separate brands. But we want to bring out these 3 products in a cohesive manner to where all 3 of them, they complement each other and they work together well. So, how do we kind of bring that brand story to life of, supporting these people, supporting these GLP-1 users by having 3 distinct offerings?
Yeah. I think something that you guys have done very well that's really interesting is this product is like additive to someone's life and it's not taking something away, which I feel like, hopefully makes the consumers also just like more excited about this, and it fits into their new routine as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it was, for just something as similar or as small as just having our offerings in stick packs. We know, and again, that is born out of, again, my wife kind of knowing this consumer so well, having been spent 10 years with the GLP-1 consumer, knowing that, that having her patients put their protein powder in little Ziploc baggies to take with them, whether it's to work or on for travel for work. So it's like the importance of having them to be on the go. GLP-1 users, they forget to eat, but they also forget to drink water. So they end up very
Mm.
dehydrated. It's important to, if you're gonna when you drink water, to make it count, get the electrolytes in. It's that it's gonna be noon and you're gonna start to crash, and you don't know why. Well, it's because you haven't eaten anything today. So it's important to have the protein with you on the go. Yeah, and for us to having we recommend all three products every day, but also we want to be flexible enough that we understand that people might not adhere to that all the time. So to have the flexibility to at least take your fiber every day, or maybe they'll do their protein every other day. You see some products coming out for GLP-1 users that are trying to do everything. They're trying to be electrolytes, fiber, and protein all in one,
Mm.
but then they're not end up being enough of any of those things.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that Nate and I were chatting about, coming into this conversation was that this GLP-1 space has just exploded.
Hmm.
And for you all, someone who's been doing this for a long time, and what's interesting about everything you're saying is that's real experience with real people and navigating it and using that to build this brand, not saying, oh, let's enter this space. It's really popular, learn as much as we can and try to create a brand out of it. And so I'm curious how you avoid getting caught up in that buzz of what's going on and seeing this as a trend, but really staying focused on real customer needs, what you're seeing, and just continue to, and then also helping kind of educate that that's what you are doing.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's acknowledging that there's going to be sustained long-term growth in this space. That these medications aren't going anywhere. They're just going to be approved for more and more indications. These medications are helping people with kidney disease, liver disease, sleep apnea. They're being studied for addictions. People are,
Mm.
they're all of a sudden not reaching for their cigarette or their glass of wine at night. So I think just knowing that it's going to continue to expand, and with the expansion of people using the medications, regardless of why you're taking the medication, the side effects are going to be there,
Yeah.
Mm.
and people are going to need the support, regardless of the reason why they're taking the medication.
That's an interesting distinction. So you're talking about, I think a lot of us go GLP-1 to weight loss
Hmm.
because that's just the headline right now.
Hmm. Yeah.
You see yourselves as, and this is going to seem obvious maybe when I say it, but you see yourselves as a GLP-1 support brand. It doesn't matter why you're taking this, but we're supporting you in the side effects and a lifestyle where you are taking this to improve whatever issue it is that you might be trying to solve for. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely, overall, yes. But we do also recognize that, it's we think of it as a lot of ways. It's a metabolic health consumer, an educated metabolic health consumer. So, that's a big tent.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
guess evolving as that changes, because it sounds like long term there's these other use cases that will
Hmm.
start to emerge and that could become a consumer, and then
Absolutely.
it's evolving with that. And I know that education, I mean, what we love about what you all are doing is the amount of education and community building through at least what we see within your website experience is powerful. And we talked to a lot of our brands and clients about building that type of experience. But I think in your space, especially, people are looking for a trusted guide to get through this. They're home from work after dinner trying to figure out, like, that's the time they have, right? Like, let me do some research to figure out how to make this choice. And so I'm curious how you thought about that from an intentionality standpoint in building the brand and making sure that that was, to me, it looks like that's just as important to you all as it is to putting these products out there and actually having something to sell.
Yeah, I think, it's kind of recognizing that a lot of people taking these medications may be doing it asynchronously from their provider, their primary care physician. And people have questions about the medications, right? There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of headlines. There's Ozempic face, Ozempic butt. There's, a lot of clickbaity headlines out there relating to the medications, and that people have questions about. And or again, they're taking it maybe asynchronously through a portal online or through a compounded pharmacy, or they're getting it from their physician, but their physician, less than 1% of all physicians are trained in obesity medicine, are trained in these medications. So maybe their physician isn't supporting them as well as they could be. So we want to be a place to go to kind of help answer whatever questions we can and provide education.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of that on your website. I mean, that's such a valuable place for the education.
Yeah.
Have you found that consumers are leveraging the site a lot and also finding you in other places? Like, do you find consumers are trying to think of the
they're valuing that. I think they're valuing that. We also we have like a Facebook support group also.
Cool.
that like it's just it's a place to go that's a little more refined than a Reddit thread.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we're often, it's funny, I can't tell you how many times we've had brands be like, we're going to build an online community on our website, and I'm like, hold on a second. Where are people talking right now? And it's often in this space, it's often Facebook groups. Like, there's so much happening in Facebook groups. So I love that. Do you see, as a brand, do you get involved in those conversations? Is there somebody moderating and actually like replying? And okay, what does that look like?
We have someone who's very well versed in our brand who is in there every day. It's there's not a lot of talk in there about products. Right?
That's
right.
awesome.
It's just a place for people to go, and people will jump in and, hey, I'm experiencing this and I'm experiencing that. It's what's really unique about these medications that I think people don't talk about a lot, or people aren't maybe familiar. If you're not on the medications, you haven't had experience with. But what makes these medications unique is you increase your dosage over time. So you could be 4 months in, and you're waking up with a sudden side effect that you hadn't experienced yet.
Oh, wow.
So I think, you have a lot of people that just want to kind of talk through that, hey, I just increased to this dose and I'm experiencing this, is that normal, or have you guys experienced that? So there's a lot of, kind of healthy conversation that people just want to kind of talk through, and people have different types of reactions and side effects, and I think it's good for people to know that, oh yeah, that's normal, or that's treatable. You don't have to feel that way. There are ways around that.
Yeah. I mean, I think also like something that's interesting about this is more and more people are talking about GLP-1s and metabolic health, but also big CPGs starting to get into this world as well. We've seen some brands like Conagra, Nestle, Danone sort of get into this GLP-1 friendly product lines, like very explicitly. Like they have a tag. I think Conagra literally has a badge that they put on products saying like, this is designed for somebody or good for somebody with that, using a GLP-1. Where do you see, these big brands sort of miss, at least right now? And what do you see sort of as this like disconnect between what consumers actually need and what brands are offering? Because I'm sure some of these bigger brands, some of these more strategics are coming into this because it's kind of trendy. It's kind of in the zeitgeist. They obviously see their bottom line being affected by GLP-1s. I mean, it came out in a lot of earnings reports that they are foreseeing a drop in sales. Some of these snack companies and some of these major CPG companies. So it makes sense that they're coming into this space, but I'm sure that they're missing something, at least at the get-go.
Yeah, yeah. I think the GLP-1 consumer, I think for the most part, wants to kind of shop the outer aisle of the store, right, rather than the inner aisle. It's there's a natural gravitation towards freshness, towards and I think brands are having a harder time compete, and that's why I think you're seeing a lot of these are frozen foods.
Yeah.
The Conagra, Nestle, it's frozen foods. It's because I think the snack aisle is probably the most challenging part because GLP-1 users just don't have the urge to snack.
Right.
And it's interesting to see how they can try to kind of combat where to fit in there. But right now, I think you're seeing it a lot in just meal replacement. It's, you want a smaller portion, you want a smaller, low carb. Chances are, if you're on a GLP-1, that means you are taking what you're eating a little more seriously. When you do eat, you don't want that to be a wasted meal. You want to get and that's why people talk about protein so much. It's like you're eating less when you do eat. Just like I said with electrolytes, when you do drink, make it count. When you do eat, make sure you're eating something high protein because you're not going to be eating a lot today. So don't make it worthwhile empty calories.
Yeah. That's why I don't think the protein shtick is going away anytime soon, because there's all these consumers who need low calorie,
for various reasons. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's a multitude of reasons, and anytime I sort of have gone into protein, like obviously you talk about the fitness trend, but also the Ozempic trend is a part of that conversation.
Yeah. And I think consumers are starting. I think the GLP-1 consumer is kind of hearing that messaging. If you're not going to eat much, when you do eat, make sure to get the right nutrients in, and protein is a big part of that.
And with the I guess in like the easiest for anyone who doesn't, maybe people who are running a snack brand right now. I'm curious to share kind of what if we spoke generally about how someone's lifestyle shifts, maybe after the first 3 months of being on a GLP-1. What does that behavior tend to look like in terms of the shift in diet and maybe what is the I guess the most common thing that happens for that person?
One very interesting thing is people's taste buds change, which is something that not a lot of people realize. There is some people kind of have a wanderlust too, where they feel it's like, I really enjoyed my like evening chocolate. And now, and like, even though I'm eating better throughout the day, but I still really was counting on or really enjoyed this late night treat of mine. It was my little, but all of a sudden it doesn't taste good to me. All of a sudden, I have an aversion to it.
Yeah.
So, studies have shown people's taste buds change while on the medications, and people develop a real aversion to anything that's too salty, too sweet, too artificial. That's why our electrolytes, our most popular product, people love them. Not just GLP-1 users, but people across the board. We call ours lemon water, trying to evoke that spa water, lemon soaked in water. Just it's not too salty, not too sweet. You shouldn't have to choke it down. And people love that because a lot of times, again, like going back to the medical practice, trying to get people to get their electrolytes in, and they're like, I can't tolerate. I can only use, I have to use half a packet of liquid IV or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just too aggressive. So that's why it's really important for us. And like our protein, it's a natural vanilla. It's not a big flavor bomb the way a lot of workout proteins
or
are.
Whatever it might be
and just mix it with water, and it's a very gentle protein.
Very cool.
So I think that's something that people experience on these medications is that I guess a lot of their kind of go-to vices in a way, whether it's a glass of wine or a cigarette or a salty snack or a sweet treat, suddenly is kind of becomes unappealing. And I think that's, some people are almost kind of disappointed by that fact.
Sure.
Hey, I like this. I look forward to it. I look forward to this. And now all of a sudden I don't want it.
Wow.
I'm not sure what to replace it with. Yeah.
I wonder how much the strategics are thinking about that fact in particular when it comes
Yeah.
to the formulation and introduction of new products that are focused on this type of user, because like they might just be rebranding and slightly reformulating existing products without actually making significant changes for the end consumer.
That's what made
Yeah.
me that's what made me ask, because I'm wondering, like, there's got to be more to this about what it's like to get onto a GLP-1. And I wasn't actually sure. So that exactly, Nate, that's what I'm kind of thinking
Right.
about, is like, oh, we're going to make an electrolyte that tastes like this because we know it'll be appealing for a
Hmm.
customer who actually needs it, which is fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, that's a whole different lens of not just supply, like answering. It's different than problem solution. It's more about understanding the customer, I think, is what we're
Yeah.
really understanding their experience and designing products that can fit into that world, which makes me, I mean, in many ways you've built a new category. With that, you've built this new category of products, and really without any playbook. There's no like there's no way to do this right. There's no proven
Yeah.
method. And so just curious if any kind of bigger lessons or takeaways of what that's looked like to go into something like with true belief in knowing that this is needed, but like there's not really a, hey, do this, do this, do this. Like we've seen this be successful. Sure, there's tactics, but it's very different.
Yeah, and it was a real choice to even, on our packaging say, for GLP-1 users, where some people kind of in the industry felt like, well, you're kind of niching down too much, like why not just, your natural tasting,
Mm,
gut friendly line of products, and that appeals to GLP-1 users. But it was important for us to kind of directly address the GLP-1 consumer, and kind of let them know that these products are made just for them, because you are having other existing products out there now market themselves, especially through their digital ads, for GLP-1 users. You're having a lot of existing products that, just running ad campaigns that are saying it's GLP-1's new bestie, or, pairs great with
mm-hmm.
GLP-1s. And, I think we kind of saw that as well. And that is more recent. That's kind of post-launch. I think brands have
Yeah.
started doing that in the last 6 months or a year. But kind of important for us to make the distinction that we're not just marketed towards you. We are made for this consumer. And
Yeah.
and it's for us as a new brand, it's kind of exciting to have the opportunity almost to not be a disruptive brand, but like an establishment brand in
Mm-hmm.
what is essentially a new category, which is I think we
Yeah, it's
saw
pretty
that as
incredible.
a great opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's, I mean, there's millions of GLP-1 users. There's going to be so many more, and they stick with it. Theoretically, they're sticking with it for a long period of time, forever, hopefully.
Hmm.
So it's like a little bit different than even saying just like, oh, this is a gluten-free product. It's like this is geared towards this very specific consumer, and it's very interesting. So it's fascinating. It's like
Yeah.
it's truly a new category.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting talking with retailers about that too, and like
Sure.
how they're looking to address that consumer, and having dedicated sections, and kind of making sure they, you know message that consumer. And we're always interested to hear from retailers, like, how are you looking to address this consumer? This is,
Mm-hmm.
they're in your stores. They don't walk
Mm-hmm.
around with name tags on, but they're shopping in your store. Like, how are you looking to address them? Yeah.
Yeah, and with a lot of these larger CPG brands trying to enter the space, they're probably bringing products to those retailers. And then where do you
Mhm.
put them? Because if what you're saying is true, which I'm not questioning, but if those consumers are going to the outside, perimeter of the
Mhm.
grocery store, they're not going to potentially go in the aisle where this GLP-1 product might actually be that could help them. So how do you create a space for them to go? And
Yeah.
here's my, collection of products that are going to support this lifestyle, which is super interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it's and depend. We're in high V stores in the Midwest, and we're at an end cap that is facing the pharmacy counter. So
Mm,
for high V, their approach is, we know we fulfill a lot of these medications, so we have a lot of customers that are going to the pharmacy counter for their GLP-1. So it's important to have some messaging directly adjacent to that counter. So when they turn around from receiving their medication, they're looking at an end cap that is geared just for them. You know,
I'm curious. Before we wrap up, we didn't ask about the book, and I keep seeing it behind you, Peter. And
Not
I think
blurred
that's,
at all.
yeah, it's perfectly there. It's great. We've talked a lot about the digital experience and, creating these assets online, blog posts and things like that. But the book, what does that look like for the brand? And how have you leveraged that as an asset for building customer relationships or anything like that to really help deepen that relationship with folks who are in this community?
Yeah, well, I mean, my wife wrote the book because of the need, and feeling, again, for all the things we were discussing earlier of kind of misinformation and lack of information, and I kind of wanted there to be a kind of a hardened Bible on these medications and their effectiveness and a guide to taking them. And then with the brand, for us, we kind of keep them slightly agnostic. We don't want the book isn't necessarily talking about our product very much, but it talks about the need for electrolytes, protein, and fiber.
Sure.
So that's the kind of thing. It's kind of, you can't avoid talking about, if you're going to write a whole book about GLP-1 medications, you can't avoid talking about electrolytes, protein, and fiber.
Right.
But on the other hand, the book isn't selling the product. So they're hand in hand. I think the book has been a good way for kind of my wife to be out there as an established expert in the field. And then that kind of helps the brand, downwind of that.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as we close out, any advice for brands out there that are looking to create maybe a brand out of a consumer need or seeing a future trend or something picking up and they want to be part of that from a real place of need or have a solution that they think can help? Just, what advice might you offer?
Well, I think, again, our approach was to be very direct, to kind of to be very clear in the consumer base we were addressing. And, while that to some might seem like we're alienating ourselves from the remaining large consumer base out there, for us, I feel like it did a lot for our credibility. And I think that might be a lesson for any wanting to create a new space or see a new consumer. I think really going out there and just sincerely saying that we made this just for you, I think builds a lot of brand credibility.
Yeah.
Amazing. Love that. There's a lot there, Peter, in any business, to be honest. That is very important. We can't be all things to all people. Well, appreciate so much you coming on the show and sharing this with us. A lot of really great takeaways for folks in all spaces. But it's been a lot of fun.
Right.
Anything else,
Thank
Nate?
you guys.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate you taking the time, Peter. This is really interesting. I mean, it's one of the hottest topics right now across a lot of different fields. So I think it's really interesting what you and what the SoWell team is doing. I think it's really interesting, especially in the lens of CPG.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Cool.
We'll continue to grow and grow.
Yeah, we'll be following along. Appreciate it, Peter. Thank you so much. And to everyone else, we'll see you in 2 weeks, 4/15. Whatever that date is, we should get better at that date.
It's
October 20th. Yeah, what is that Monday? Let's see.
4th? The 5th?
The 3rd. November 3rd at 4:15. Almost there. All right.
Close.
Beautiful. Well, thank you all so much.